Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to What's Changed, Adjusting to Your Customers' Needs in the New Normal. My name is Jim Handy, and my co-presenter is Julie Menton. We are both members of the Minneapolis Business Mentors.org group. With the Mentors is an organization dedicated to entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses. We offer free mentoring, free workshops, advisory consult, women's networks, and we focus on the individual customers. The members of our organization are well experienced in business. Julie and I, for example, cover a broad spectrum of business organizations and industries: business research, strategic planning, marketing, sales, social media, business startup, small business growth. So if take a look, and if there's any needs, we'd be happy to help you out. Today's takeaways, we're going to take a look at tracking your customer's experience, getting to know and being close to your customer, particularly with all the changes that are going on. We also are going to take a look at some ways to do that, in addition to yourself, some methods of researching the behavior, and some methods to take a look at methods to innovate and improve your position with your customers. But as we go through this, it'd be easier if you have someone in mind that is a customer of yours. Think of your sweet spot customer, that person that you know that the solutions that your business will deliver is going to be perfectly suited to this person. And think of that person as we're going through this. So any personal information: what are they like? What's their history? What are they doing? What are their jobs, hobbies, interests? What are their buying behaviors? That sort of thing. What do they do, think, feel, hear, see? Just a general impression. But get that picture, maybe even an individual. And that'll help as we go through some of these business concepts when you can attach it to an individual. So we know that COVID had a big impact, and now the impacts of COVID are having impacts with shortages and so on and so forth. The trends all over the place, changing technology, marketing, consumer, and we're all well aware of them. Some businesses were hurt very badly, as we know. So anything with a venue where people had to gather, restaurants, bars, theaters, and so forth. Others weren't particularly affected, and others did very well by it. Think Zoom and anything that had to do with delivery and so forth. So it's a new world, but the key is to identify and know what had changed with our own customers. The key, you probably can't read this if it's not important. The whole point of it is it was a report that came out by McKinsey, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago, and just showed that all the trends, and nobody knows, we don't know how they're going to last. They're fading, they're getting stronger, and so on. So everything is still up in the air, even as we hopefully begin to leave COVID. The model we're going to use, the way we're going to look at our business today, is through the lean value proposition. The lean value proposition, it comes out of the lean canvas. If you're not familiar with this, this is a great tool for small businesses and startups. It's a great one-page plan. It's a strategic plan, and it's a way to validate your business and your ideas. Does it make sense? And if it's not, you can change it easily until you get it settled in. As you can see, it works with the customer segments, the problems, your solution to those problems, your proposition, and then how you reach it through the channels, your cost structure, and your revenue streams, and it ties it all together. What we're going to focus on today are the areas of customer segments and the problem solving. You'll notice that the numbers, which normally indicate the order you might take them in, although it's not critical, but these are both one, and that's because it's obviously one you go back and forth with. The more you know about the customer, the more you understand the problems, the challenges they have, the better able you are to design a solution for those and come up with your unique value proposition. The value canvas, the lean canvas proposition value, is a derivative of the lean canvas, and it's as popular as the canvas itself. And that's basically what we'll be using this morning. When you look at the value proposition canvas, if you're not familiar with it, on the right-hand side, you have your customer. And it's your, excuse me, your customer's buying experience. And on the left-hand side are the solutions that you provide to the customer. So for a quick example, if I have a coffee shop, my customer on the right-hand side has a job to do. That job is to buy coffee and take it into the office on the way to work and buy a couple of cups for some friends. And so they head out, the traffic's a little bit heavy, they got late started, they get my coffee shop and they have to wait in line to get the coffee. And now that's a real pain to them. They finally get the coffee and they arrive at the office. The gains are they have the coffee and they're appreciated socially by their friends. So on my side, if I want to relieve that pain, I got to think, how do I do that? So maybe I develop an app that's a loyalty app, and the customer can text in ahead their order, and I guarantee they'll be in and out in a minute. And now I've reduced their pain. That's one more gain. It's quick and they're to work on time. So that's kind of how that works. Excuse me. With the customer, you want to know the individual customer, first of all, know them as well as you can. And there are some tools to do that. And we're not going to spend a lot of time with that, but you can Google any of these. It's all over the place, what they are and how to work with them in various different situations. Customer profile, that tends to be more market segment kind of definition, looking for a demographic, looking for a young couple, 28 to 37, who are looking for a home. Excuse me, that generally describes a chunk of the market. The customer persona is different, and that's kind of what we did when I suggested you get your own, you have your own customer in mind. Customer persona is very personal, down onto one person, and that one person is a customer in your target segment. And if you have two segments, then you will have two customer personas. If you're selling through distributors to retailers, you have a persona that is a distributor, and you have one that's a retailer, and you have one that's your customer that's going to buy from the retailer. And this persona really identifies the buying personality, what they're feeling, what they're like. And the more you know about them, the better. The empathy map is what they're feeling. Things like what they like, what they don't, their security, and so forth. The more you work with it, the more you know, the better you can serve them. Customer jobs are what that customer is doing. And a customer jobs to be done is a great tool for that. And again, you can Google that. And we sort of roughly touch on the edge of some of all of these. When you take a look at customer jobs, you remember that the customer is hiring you and hiring your product and your service. That helps you really think. The whole idea we want to do nowadays is be customer-centric. We want to be in the customer's mind. Particularly when we're starting up and trying to grow a small business, we tend to get wrapped up in our own operations and what's working is our website, right, and so forth. The main jobs to be done are the actual tasks. So, for example, the coffee, the main job is to get some coffee. The related jobs to be done are to be accepted by the people at work and enjoy the camaraderie. Each one of these levels has a functional job. That's the need, get the coffee. And each one has an emotional job. I get good coffee. I'm really accepted by my friends. And this is where the energy comes from. The next job, the next description and the tool to use is a customer experience and the pains and gains. And this is what we'll be talking about this morning as we learn more about our own customers. It's going to be the customer journey. So the customer experience. This is a customer journey template, and very, very rough and rudimentary. And everyone looks different for every business. Again, you can Google these things and Google different kinds of maps, and it's rare to see two of them that are the same. Along the top, you have stages in your business. And basically, the very fundamental rudimentary definition is that this during the sale, before the sale, everything that happened, and everything that happened after the sale. And again, your business will define what they are for your particular business. So you may have a quick before, it's a fairly quick decision, but they're joining a membership program that you have. So after is a lot of loyalty and how they work with your product and service. Down the left-hand side are the various lanes that you want to learn about with your customer. And again, these are fairly rudimentary. The activities and situations, what are they doing? What's the situation they're in? What are they doing in that situation before, during, and after? And then what are the needs? What are their goals? What are they trying to accomplish in each one? And then the touch points. And this is the first time, the top two, activities and situation, needs. That's pretty much just the customer. Touch points is the first time they start to contact you directly or indirectly. And what is their experience as they do that? So the purpose of the CEM, the customer journey map, is to visualize the entire experience from one start to the end. It's to understand the jobs that they have at each stage, what they're trying to do, what their pains, what's working and what isn't, what's satisfying and what isn't worth satisfying. And then identifying these opportunities to improve that. And this is really becoming, for a majority of businesses, this is where the competitive advantage can happen. So you can have the same offering and provide the same solutions that another business does. But if you can make that experience smoother, if you can make the customer service and the information they get and your website is clear and they're doing it in 2 clicks instead of 12, that sort of thing, that can be the competitive advantage for you. And of course, you can use this to review your own thing and reduce cost. So what we're going to do is take in our little example, not before and after, but rather the stages will be awareness, consider, and decide, and then the after. But we'll focus primarily on the first 3. This is an example, and we don't have to plow through this, but just to get a picture in your mind, this is what it will look like when we're done. So you can see the activities in situations. So the awareness, they're reading about it, they're thinking about talking to friends. As you go across, they're doing research, they're making a purchase, and so forth. Same with needs. It gives what they're doing, what the job is that they're trying to do there, and then the touch points and so forth. Customer experience, you notice that is rated. And then other ones that people can add below customer experience, some will add, and we won't get into these today, but a good one is metrics. What are you trying to measure? Number of people reached, new website visitors, product reviews, and then you can have business goals under that, the generic here, but increase awareness, increase website visitors, and so on. So the idea is that you are going to have a view that you can work on, plan on, you can share with others, be it people you're working with and or your customers and vendors. So why are you making this map? You want to set your goals for that. Do you want to do the whole journey? Are you trying to, what segment are you trying to learn? What, is there anything particularly you're trying to focus on? Maybe the interaction with your website, or maybe it's better, it's how they handle their product, your product once they accomplish it, once they hire it. And what experiences do you want to focus? It may be the whole map, and it may be just, I just want to see what the experience is as people find out about us and then engage and start considering us. So are we getting enough hits for that? And then in each of these, are we trying to identify new business behavior? So starting with the stages, they're unique to every business, each customer and each segment. So as you're thinking about the customer that you had in your mind from the beginning here, think about the stages that might be going through in your business. Here, for example, is an airlines industry. I know you can't read it all that well, but just along the top, you'll see they start out pretty much like we do, awareness, interest, and decision. And then it gets very much into just what an airlines would be interested in: setup, the flight, the relationship, strengthening, concern, and the return. So it's going to be different for each group. Again, the way to begin oftentimes is start with during. So the customer that you have in your mind, what are they doing during the sale? And then what did they do before that? And what did they do? And what are they doing after? And take it back as far as you can. The more stages you can get, the better. This is what will drive your entire experience map, because the more events you have up there, the more you will be able to identify individual needs and touch points and experiences. The activities and situations, they describe a customer's situation. There's no activity. So I'm going to buy a car, and I don't know I'm going to buy a car. My situation is I have an old car, and it's got a lot of miles on it, and I know that. I know that the day is coming, and I know that I realize that a couple of neighbors of mine got some new ones, and I'm starting to see some ads on cars, and there's no action at this point. Then also it lists the activities. I'm starting to explore, and usually we're not touching on that, but a trigger. What triggered me to start activity? Well, I went into a repair shop. Turns out that I've got a large repair. It's not worth doing on this car. Time to trade. So now I'm finding out, starting to explore, generally looking online, maybe looking at Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds, watching ads, talking to neighbors and family. So with the activities, each one, now my activity is going to be different if you saw that slide when I start to consider. And when I start to consider, now I'm starting to explore, do I want to buy my car online totally from a Vroom, or do I want to buy it online but from a local dealer, or do I want to walk into the dealer like Dave? How do I want to do this? What's the best? So I'm starting to look at what can they provide. And I'm trying to look at what I can afford and so on. So with each step that I am going through, try to identify that for your customer. So the idea, again, is you begin with a sale and then work back. And working back, just keep asking why. Why did they buy this model? Why did they buy from us? Why did they buy a lease versus a sale and so forth? And then back into the considering. Why were they considering? What were they looking at? Why were they considering these different places and so on? But just try to take yourself back and try to get back maybe 10 steps or more. And again, thinking about that customer that you have in mind. And then work forward from the buy. What then? I got my car. The setup was fine. I got it. A bit of an issue with the radio. I didn't know how to work it. And so then going forward, how is the service? What's the service plan? What's the follow-up? What's my loyalty? And so on. So the activities and situations are key. Now the needs, for every need, now it's a goal. So for every activity that we do with your little list there, all of the things you have, what is the need? What am I trying to accomplish here? So when I first start talking to people, what am I looking for? Well, I kind of like to get some sense of confidence of how to go about this. I mean, do I buy from Vroom, or do I go down to Jake's car dealership? And I also want to get some idea of what's out there. And maybe I'm taking a look at the prices and my budget and so forth. So list what they're at each one of these stages. So what am I considering? What are my needs? I'm looking for confidence in a dealership. I'm looking for someone I can work with. And when I decide, I'm looking for the best price, the best deal, and somebody I'm comfortable with. So what are they doing in each one of their stages? List what they're doing, what they are expecting, what they're thinking, feeling, what experience they're looking for. And that would be their goal, and what they're trying to accomplish here. Touch points. Now, this is the first time that a touch point is that your customer is directly or indirectly involved with your business. They might be indirectly involved because they're see an ad, or somebody's told them about your word of mouth, and so forth. Or they may be direct. They check they get on your website and explore it. For each touch point, again, you want to just try to get into that customer. And again, if you've already done the empathy map, and if you've developed a customer persona, these answers are going to be pretty clear to you. So that is very much a worthy step as you go through this. So at each touch point, what are they thinking? What do they hear? What do they see? What are they saying, doing? What are they looking at? And you do that through consideration. And what activities, what were their goals and needs, and what are they doing now at the touch points with you? For example, in considering, now they're looking at you and they're comparing you with 2 or 3 other options. And my car buyer is looking at a couple of dealers, still hasn't decided if he's going to buy online or direct. and so forth. But now he's taken, these are the touch points. This is where I can really hit. And then what he thinks and feels. And that takes us into customer experience. Excuse me. For each touch point, we want to list and rate the impressions, how they were satisfied, how they weren't satisfied, were their expectations met, how did the job work for them, how did the process work for them, did they have to go through too many clicks, or was my website confusing? Some of the aspects they're looking for is convenience, responsiveness, speed, quality, aesthetics, and I might, for example, have confusing even cross levels where, for example, maybe my ads or my retail space doesn't match up with my website. So they see something on a website that doesn't quite match up with what I'm doing. So anything that in that whole experience on each step, their awareness, now they consider. What kind of information did they get? What did they learn from you when they considered? How were you able to position yourself better than your customer as they're considering which one to do? And then as they decide, why would they decide you over your competitors? What are your competitive advantage? And do they see that? Are they going to experience that as they're going through that? And then and the after, is their experience good and satisfying? The gains you'll notice, and if you noticed on that map, that's usually graphed. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but there's a reason for it. You want to rate those gains. And and those gains rated are based on customer experience metrics. And we'll talk a little bit about this later. But when I talk about metrics and how you're measuring and whether they're happy or not and so forth, they're based on your business metrics. And your metrics happen to be what you want to accomplish with your customer. So for example, here we have a customer satisfaction score. How happy are you with? Customer effort score. How do you rate the difficulty? Well, now if you're selling beach balls, you may not have to rate people on that. It's not complicated. If you're IKEA, you may want to know how they rate the difficulty of assembling the furniture that they bought from you. And so on with the net promoter score for loyalty and so forth. The idea is to choose metrics that align with your priorities. And you can go back and forth, and there's a number of metrics we'll touch on just a bit later that you can use. So that's how that channel is driven. And then with that, you can rate their experience with that. Then other lanes we mentioned in the example, this is a good place to have the metrics underneath each one, your KPIs, what is it you're trying to do? And then you can have things like insights and opportunities. It's sort of a working sheet. Some people do this, by the way. They do the whole thing where they'll do it with Post-its on a board or a whiteboard where you can easily change and move things around. So what are the insights and opportunities that you and people you work with, and sometimes, again, a customer that you know can help you work through with this? And then what are the solutions and actions? So they can be other lanes too, and you have on one page a complete plan, what you need to do and how you're going to go about doing it. Here's an example. Excuse me. Here's an example of a car buyer. And it's went through a lot of the same things we're talking about. But the reason I wanted to show you this is on top, you'll notice right in front of them, right on the map, and you'll see this a lot if you Google some of these maps and see it. Right on top is the emotional Eric. So this is their persona. He's an emotional car buyer, purchaser, and the aesthetics and status and so forth. And he moved from an area, what he's doing, his background, and his expectations. What's he expecting? He wants to compare cars and so on and so forth. So if I'm that car dealer, I'm going to want to be sure. And Eric is the person that, as you identified early in this presentation, if that's that person, I want to make sure that I'm speaking to them. I mentioned this Nielsen Norman group here too, by the way, to give them credit. If you go to their website, they have and you'll see them in a lot of other places, but they have a tremendous amount of blogs and articles that are very helpful and related to this topic. So now we're going to research and learn more.
Jim?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I lost it. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you hung up there for a moment.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why. when you're researching your business, again, you're doing a lot of it yourself in the beginning, and they're all assumptions. And the good news about you're making assumptions versus the president of say, Best Buy, is that you are close to your customer. You can pretty well be assured that you're talking to them, selling them, getting feedback, and so forth. But again, they're your assumptions. So you're going to want to check out other ways to do it. And here's some suggestions, and you don't want to go down the whole list, but pick out, whether they're here or other places, pick out a couple of ways to learn about your business that are comfortable for you, that you do and you will continue to do. So Google Analytics, I think we all know how strong that can be. And the more you dig, the more you can find out. You can find out their buying behaviors, their buying habits, demographics, what they prefer, what they don't prefer. And the kind of nice thing about it is this data. It's not their opinion, it's what they're actually doing. Review mining is interesting. If you review, and it can be a topic, you can go to whatever, you can go to Amazon, you can go to just general reviews, go to your product reviews, your competitors that have similar products to the reviews they're hearing. You will see a lot of pains and gains. And for example, if you went to Amazon, that's almost a little cult in its own. And you go to there and you can look at not only your products, but you look maybe on books on your thing. So for example, I might be, if I'm selling cars and I'm buying my car, I might look at a review of how to buy cars or the best cars to buy. And I just kind of looking at the reviews for the pains and gains. Competition is another one. Watch your competition, look at them, see what they're doing, learn from them. What are they looking at the reviews, any complaints that they're getting, compare them with yourself. And then also that's obviously a good place to be looking for ideas for ways to improve your own position. Sometimes startups are flexible enough to resolve a solution that a larger, more established business just can't move enough to get going. Similar business models. If you're delivering, if all of a sudden you're delivering food, you might want to check out florists. They've been delivering perishable goods for decades. So look at models that are different to you, and oftentimes that's where creativity can be found. It's just normal in another industry or another business model. You bring it over to yours, and it's very unique. And we're seeing some of that in the changes we see today. Online discussion, Reddit. If you know about that, they've got shredded subreddits underneath it, all kinds of groups and topics, and it's a lot of just social back and forth and so on. But if you look for your industry, your product, it's amazing what you'll find, and you can ask questions and you can start conversations. Same with Twitter, Facebook. Just watch, what are people saying? What are they talking about? And you can join groups that are similar to your needs and to your customers. Face-to-face, nothing beats a face-to-face interview. If you can talk to someone, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot, but if you can talk to a couple of customers, for example, even a few of them, you can then dig into the whys. They like this, they don't like. Why don't you like it? What would be better? And it's much easier and I'm sorry, not easier, but more effective. So if you can find somebody you know, it could be an acquaintance or a friend, but ideally it's going to be a customer that uses your product or something like your product. And using other products, by the way, isn't bad to find out how they feel about your competitors. Surveys, you are not going to be doing, obviously, surveys with hundreds of thousands of people, but surveys where you can. It's pretty easy to do a survey with 1, 2, 3 questions on it throughout the process. And we've all experienced that. You go onto a website and they want to know how you felt about it. You click through, you download something, they want to know how you felt about it. Were you satisfied, not satisfied? If you didn't click through with it, the survey, they have your information. What didn't you like about this? What stopped you? So surveys in a small way it works. And the nice thing about them is they're fairly easy to automate. There's a software out there that can automate surveys so that they happen automatically at various touch points in your business. And then trends, following the trends, the general trends like we talked about, but also the very micro trends that are going on with your customer. Uh, as I mentioned before, we talked a little bit about customer experience. And what I wanted to show you again is this blog that I ran into, that I stole this from, is really very good. And I would suggest you jot this one down. It's talkwalker.com/blog/customer-experience-metrics. They talk about 19 metrics, but more than just list them like we have here. They talk about how to use them, when to use them. They talk about the questions to use, whether it's a 1 out of 10 or a yes, no. It's just a really valuable place for small businesses and startups to choose a handful of metrics that are going to help you drive your business, drive your growth. So highly recommend that particular blog. So now what we want to do is analyze, innovate, and improve. Now that you've got this picture of your customers and in their activities as they experience, and their experience is what you're really looking for, their experience all the way through your brand and your customer. Now we got to fill out the other side. We talked about the customer. Now, what are the products and services are hired to do the job? And are we lined up with them? Are we lined up with their needs? Are we doing that job the best way we can? How can we improve that? Little things, whether it's an app for the coffee shop, or it's a clearer for the car buyer, it's a clearer website, it's a clearer path. It touches on much more of a hands-on approach. And then how do we eliminate the pains and optimize the gains? Again, this is one of the major ways that companies gain competitive advantages. And again, if you're small and starting out, you've got a chance to do something different and creative that really can increase gains and eliminate pains. So it's worth spending a lot of time doing that. And so the whole idea there is to evaluate. What you want to do is prioritize the key points. You don't have to do every one of them, but pick out 1 or 2 that you want to work on, maybe 3, get those done and go to the next ones. And when you prioritize it, it's not only what's the most important to the customer, but it's what's most important to you. So it would be the ones that your KPIs. If you're trying to get more people to click through on your website, for example, or stop into your retail store, those are the ones that you want to focus on. And then when you look, if you've got a whole list of do lists too, there's another quick little thing that works out well. Rate it 1 to 5 on what's the most important to the business and what's the easiest to adapt. So you might have something that's on a list of 15 things. You may have something that's listed 11, but it would take you 15 minutes to change your website and improve that. So set priorities and focus. That's the key. Identify, be very alert for either the actual or the hint of any new buying behavior that you can adapt to, maybe get ahead of them. So I'm online. This is all new to me. The last time I ever bought a car, I went into a dealership, but I'm kind of intrigued by doing online. I didn't enjoy the dealership experience. And so you can see that the dealer can see in my situation, I'm still a little confused. I'm not sure if I should be going online. It seems like a lot of decisions without having somebody across from me. And so do that new behavior, I'm trying to get it, so make that as easy as you can for me. And then rate the pains and gains, as I mentioned, and that blog on the metrics will help you with how to rate them and how to do them. And then innovate, align the product to the customer needs, and obviously, and relieve the pains and increase the gains. So the whole idea here is that you want to make a fit. You want to be right where your customer needs you to be, on a leading edge. So you want to continue always to be in touch with your customer. And what are they doing? What are they changing? And you can't, again, you don't do that with general trends. You get way down in there as far as you can get. And when you do this, the first time the exercise through, it's kind of surface and so forth. But you keep at it, and it gets deeper, and it gets more valuable, and deeper and more valuable, and really very strong learning happens. So as you learn from you react to it, and you get it back to your customer. And the key is continue to do it. You're busy. You're doing everything. You got a hat on. You got every hat on that they can have. But try to make this a part of your regular business. And if it starts out crudely, fine, let it. Don't worry about getting it done by Monday. Just get it started and get it in your head, because it's going to force you to be thinking about your business, your customer. And you want your head inside your customer's head. That's where you want to be thinking with everything you do. You're working on, I got to get my website right, or wait a second, these steps aren't right. I've got to get my app isn't quite developed the way I want it to. You never be outside your customer's head. And the way to do that is anything that you have to keep, that you look at on a regular basis, metrics that you're tracking, make sure that these are a part of them. Any regular meetings or appointments, and even if you're not with other people, if you have a time when you sit down with your business and you work on something, make sure that on that agenda is your customer journey experience, or your customer experience learning. And the same with the business planning. And then there's assign responsibility, which of course is your name's going to be after pretty much everything. But the idea is have it on a do list. Make sure that it happens over and over and over again. Because once through, it's an interesting little exercise with not a whole lot of value that you didn't already know. But the more you have it in your head, and with a small business too, you have you know the whole business so well that the research can even be just talking to people. Catching something on television that clicks, that had nothing to do with your product, but has something to do with something else that related to it, talking to people. So again, the idea is just have it in your head, have it on at all times. So keep on keeping on. Continue to track that customer experience and continue to innovate and improve. And it's just awfully easy to get caught up and go down rabbit holes in terms of different things that you're doing. And even this, sometimes be careful. Don't go down in a rabbit hole. Don't be following and tracking something that isn't particularly valuable beyond diminished returns. So the idea is keep keeping on and keep very much in touch with your customer. So that's our presentation. We would welcome any questions that you have.
Jim, what I suggest, if people go to chat, if you already don't have the chat up, go into chat and you can just type in questions and we will address questions as they come up. I know we went through that very quickly. So if anybody wants us to go back and address any specific slide or any specific concept, please let us know.
Also, I would mention, Julie, that if this is something of interest to you and you want some help walking through it, please remember business mentors, Minneapolis business mentors. Get in touch with us, get in touch with me, Jim Handy, and we'll individually walk you through. I can help you with this, with your business, and we can mentor with you through sessions. It's all free, no cost, and be happy to help with it.